It's better than owning Monopoly's famed Boardwalk or Park Place. It's a game invented by two Canadians. It's outselling Monopoly, and it sent them on the way to becoming millionaires. Called Trivial Pursuit, to the inventors, the game is no trivial affair.
Are you the inventors?
Well, I like the word creator.
Oh, creators, even better.
It's the first time this decade that these three men have worn a tie, let alone a suit. It symbolizes a rags-to-riches success story that's normally found only in fairy tales.
Too fast, Eddie. There you go. Uncle Scott, board sign.
What Chris Haney and his friend Scott Abbott created was a new classic board game called Trivial Pursuit.
There we go. He's got his first one right. All right, Elvis.
The game's success is a combination of the 6,000 questions that test your knowledge and the egos that are inflated or punctured. This game of Trivial Pursuit is the world premiere of their second set of 6,000 question cards. It's on movie trivia only and is called the Silver Screen Edition.
All right, he's in the center.
You can use the same board and die you bought with your original game, all part of the boys' unique marketing strategy.
Who portrayed brothers in The King of Marvin Gardens?
The winner is the person or team that correctly answers a question in each of the 6 colored categories, along with a final question from the center of the board. How did you invent it?
Well, I like the word create, not invent. We're not helping.
And on the 7th day.
Right. It all started over one of these in my house in Montreal with Scott, and I said to Scott, do you realize that this is about the 6th Scrabble game I've bought? Why don't we invent a game? There must be some money in it.
What could it be about? And I said, trivia? And we got a pen and some paper and started playing with it, and the whole idea came. All the neurons kicked in at the same time.
Yeah, it took about 45 minutes to design the game, and about 3 months to figure out the scoring, but that's how it happened.
It wasn't quite that simple. They still had to write thousands of questions. So Chris quit his job as a photo editor at the Montreal Gazette, and with his family and brother John, went to Spain to a villa their mother rented. 3 months later, Scott arrived, and undisturbed, they researched their questions and finalized the makeup of the board, between soaking up the sun and sangria. In the spring of '81, they returned to Canada to search for the last questions, in readiness for the test market. Most of the information came from books borrowed from John's local library in Niagara-on-the-Lake.
Does a mosquito have teeth?
No.
Wrong. Got 47.
After the research was over, it was time to write the questions. That was done from Chris's rented farmhouse just outside Toronto. The living room was turned into an office, and by now they were having trouble remembering which of the 6,000 questions were in or out.
Love it.
So they exhausted their savings by investing in a computer.
Science and nature, right? Right. Okay, Apollo 14. Alan Shepard took up his 7-iron and his golf balls, and away it went. How do you want to use it?
What brand of balls were they?
No one will get that, and I don't want to ask for Alan Shepard, so how about how many golf balls are on the moon? An original. You like it?
We cheated and looked up the answer. It's 3. For the movie trivia questions, Chris and John used anything they could get their hands on or teeth into.
God, please help.
Yeah, so that'll be the question. What were the last 3 words said by the girl at the beginning of Jaws?
Right.
What were the last 3 words uttered by the young girl eaten at the beginning of Jaws? Well, you're pretty close, sweetheart, but you don't get any pie.
Oh, my God.
God, please help.
I'd call it a social animator. The topic of conversation and the cue for jokes and repartee and whatnot changes every 30 seconds or 1 minute.
What, 19...
I was born that year.
Oh.
We brought in a partner, Ed Warner, of course, and the 4 of us kicked in X number of dollars, and we brought in about 33 shareholders who are the original The fearsome 32.
Those who had faith.
Those who had faith, right.
Or
Right.
more money than brains.
More money than brains.
Yeah.
And that's how it happened. We financed the test market, hoping that the success of that would get us orders, which would get us financing, which would get us into big-time production.
Their strategy proved correct. They got into big-time production without having to borrow a cent from the banks. Within 1 year, they could afford to launch the silver screen edition at a 1940s party that cost them $12,000 for the night. They invited the media and the original shareholders, who were bubbling more than the champagne.
How did you even find out?
Actually, I am the shareholder, and he's my husband.
I'm just a hanger-on.
And you're weeping.
I'm weeping all the way to the bank.
He's my husband, really. And in fact, I'm #1 shareholder.
Here's your boxes, Scooter.
With the help of their fourth partner, lawyer Ed Werner, they started packing the first few thousand games. Niagara-on-the-Lake was the unlikely location for their assembly plant. The ordered parts arrived at this boathouse, where the four partners sorted and packed the various contents in each box. The way they described the early days, it was work, work, work. They packed over 10, they packed over 20, 40, they packed over 60,000 in an epitome of high-speed efficiency, they say. We saw it like this.
You forgot the rules in these.
You want to bet?
Yes. Oh, it's there. Good work, Scott.
Thank you.
Come on, Scooter. Gotta move here.
Throw these in.
10 boxes to a beer.
Well, can we have a beer break now? I think so.
Scott, telephone for you.
With the money for an office not available, they used a bar called TJ's to organize the shipping and ordering.
Hello.
Finally, they turned a storage room at the boathouse into their head office, where they became not only manufacturers, order clerks, and salesmen, but complaints department experts as well.
However, after reading the instructions, I realized there should be a playing board with the game, which was not included with my game.
She has a point. She has a point.
The key was getting one game out in an area, and word of mouth kicked in at that point. And the word of mouth factor on Trivial Pursuit is absolutely, it's never been seen before in this country.
With the demand at a record level for any game ever in Canada, the four owners started to contract out the work. From an assembly line of 4, there are now nearly 1,000 Canadians who are involved in some aspect of getting Trivial Pursuit to the market. It takes 8 weeks from start to finish to make the games. And with retail sales for the last 12 months in Canada passing $3 million, it was time to return the overdue library books and pay the fines.
And they're slightly overdue. Now, we're not talking a couple weeks. It's beyond that. So, do you want to check the date?
Okay. Oh, actually, we have a maximum fine, so
You do?
it would just be $5.30
For each one?
altogether.
Total.
Yes.
Can we get that? Can we afford that? I'd like to buy this.
As soon as Trivial Pursuit started outselling games like Monopoly and Scrabble, the Americans became interested in taking the beer-swilling lads from Canada seriously. The game's creators finally agreed to accept an offer from Selchow and Reiter, the U.S. manufacturers and distributors of Scrabble. It's said to be the largest royalty deal for a game ever.
Only illegible.
It exceeds even the merchandising deal for E.T.
Well, that only leaves one thing left.
The money.
The money.
I know that's important, so here we go, $75,000.
And that's just an advance for goodwill.
I guess I should give this to you, Scott, being a treasurer. Is it coming?
All right. Don't drink it out of the bottle.
What's the expectation for sales in the States?
Well, it becomes a point of shooting holes in the sky, but their conservative estimates at Selchow and Reiter, who are makers of Scrabble, who are going to be making it there, are that we're going to outgrow Star Wars, so in dollar volume. So they predict about $200 million in sales in the next few years.
Can you grasp that?
No. No, not in one hand.
I mean, you're sitting, how much money do the three of you have among you right now?
I don't know.
Cold
I've
cash.
got about
Cold cash.
$1.98 here.
I've got my life savings in my pocket. It's about $98. That's about it.
Yeah, and I have $6 in my bank account. My wife is -6, so I'm even now.
The humor hides the reality that the pursuit of Trivial Pursuit is no longer a trivial affair for these new millionaires.
Yeah, I think there's some difficulties, not only in terms of business decisions, but also in terms of lifestyle. You know, what do they want to do from this point on? Well, however, I
Fourth
think
partner,
over the next 2
lawyer
years,
Ed Werner.
in the last 2 years, they've certainly made some phenomenal changes. They've given up their careers, and they've put their whole lives into Trivial Pursuit. Now, Trivial Pursuit is changing their lives.
What James Bond film saw him visit a gypsy encampment? Settings.
From Russia with Love. He's got it.
From Russia with Love!
Although their plans do not yet include a Russian version, they're hard at work on the British version and have entered negotiations with Hollywood for a TV show based on the game. Perhaps that's why at the end of our W5 interview, they insisted on keeping the cameras running. They were auditioning me.
Who played for the New York Knicks, the New York Rangers, and the Brooklyn Dodgers in the same season?
Haven't the vaguest idea.
Organist Gladys Gooding.
Okay, what performer died in 1932 at the age of 16, but had a son go on to star in Pride of the Legion?
Don't know.
Rin Tin Tin.
What did Otto Titzling invent?
The brassiere.
Correct.